your bearded brothers back again with yet another sports podcast. I am, of course, the bearded brother Matt.
Mascot's over on the cage. He doesn't decide not to be over here right now.
And that's the bearded brother Chris. And we are here today to talk a little news, not too much, but a little bit of news. And then we are going to break down first round defensive prospects in the upcoming 2026 draft. This should be fun. We should enjoy it. We've already had a discussion about corners, so it's going to be pretty interesting. I think you guys will have some fun. Big sports news right now, couple of pieces. As expected, James Pierce Jr., who is currently facing 3 felonies, is not at Falcons minicamp.
Jeez, I wonder why.
I think it's because he remains currently in prison in Florida.
That would be correct.
Also, the parties that are the Colts and their quarterback, Kenny Moore, have mutually agreed to seek a trade for the cornerback.
Right.
So that's happening. Outside of that, I don't remember who we had talked about in the NHL having clinched already last time. But I can tell you, I know now, Pittsburgh has clinched. Alongside with Buffalo, Colorado, Minnesota, Dallas. Hold on, let me look. I will get you the exact clinch list. Yeah. Colorado, Carolina, Dallas, Buffalo, Montreal, Tampa Bay, Minnesota, Pittsburgh, and Utah have all clinched playoff spots. Eliminated has been New Jersey, Florida, Toronto, the New York Rangers, Calgary, Chicago, and Vancouver. Now, Minnesota made a push for second place in the division. They would have tied it last night with a win. They were leading going into the third period. And for just the the first time in 64 games leading in the third period, they lost. They've had 4 games go to overtime, and they won all the others. They were 60-0-4 in 64 games when they led going into the third. They are now 61-4 in the last 65 games. So that was kind of sad for me. I was not very appreciative of that. There was a very chippy game, I will say that. Lots of back and forth with stuff going on, and it wasn't because the stars didn't show up for Minnesota. You know that they're superstars. Kaprizov had 2 goals, almost had a hat trick. Hartman scored again. There was a lot of people playing very good hockey. It's just the stars are the stars, man. And they were playing down in Dallas, and Minnesota just got outplayed in the third period. So that happened. Do you have any news that you know of that you want to talk about?
I was trying to see if there was any news, but I didn't see any.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything major in terms of NFL news or retirements or anything.
No.
The only other news that I know of off the top of my head is that Fernando Mendoza Jr. has said he is not going to actually be at the draft. He is instead going to stay home and spend time with his family. That's kind of the big news. There was a retirement. The Falcons' right tackle, McGarry, has retired.
Oh, okay. I saw. Did we talk about Dexter Lawrence being?
We have
potentially
not.
traded?
Dexter Lawrence
Okay.
from the New York Giants has requested a trade, and he is currently not at the Giants facility for off-season programs. Harbaugh has said that he is hopeful that there can be an agreement reached, but considering how contentious the things with Lawrence have been in the past seasons,
Yeah.
I am not as hopeful as he appears to be.
Yeah. But we'll see.
So we will see how that all goes out. Do you have anything else?
No, I think that was it. That was the only thing.
I
I
think
could
that was
find
pretty much it,
relevant
too.
That I don't think.
The only other hockey news I have is the New Jersey Devils have fired their general manager, and they will be seeking a new one there. Beyond that, I think we talked about the fact that Keith Pelly up in Toronto, who is the president of MLSE, has no clue what he's doing, and if he keeps screwing up, is definitely not going to be president of MLSE very long. But outside of that, there's not a lot else to talk about right now. Other than in the West, things are still as wide open as they can possibly be. The Kings currently sit 1 point ahead of the Predators for a wild card spot. And they have a game in hand, which means at the end, the Predators will finish the season before the Kings, and if they're still within 1 point of each other, the Kings could sneak in on the very last day. Which would be interesting, and then they'll get sacrificed on the altar that is the Colorado Avalanche this year. But Minnesota and Dallas are definitely going to beat the crap out of each other. It's going to be a 7-game series. I'm already calling it. All right.
Probably.
That being said, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about the defensive side of the football in the upcoming 2026 NFL Draft. Let's start with defensive tackle, because it's right in the middle.
Okay. I gotta move. I gotta change what I had pulled up originally. No, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Just changed my plans. It's fine though.
You can go ahead and start because you told me you had 4, right?
I have 4 technically, but one I'm going to talk about first because even though he is a quote-unquote defensive tackle, he's more a nose tackle than he is a defensive tackle.
Yep.
And he's the only first-rounder that I see as a nose tackle, so that's why I put him into
because if
tackle.
you're running a 3-4,
yeah, exactly. So first, I will talk about the nose tackle, but defensive tackle, out of Cincinnati, which is Dante Corleone. Dude is a beast. He's just a big dude who is got genuine strength at 6 foot. He's really good off the snap. I mean, he's got good run defense. I don't know what else to say outside of the fact that he's just a big, powerful dude right in the center, and he's really good at it.
You know his nickname is the Dawn, right?
Yeah, yeah.
If it's not, that's what it's going to be.
I think the other thing that I kind of like about him is he's got a good ceiling. He's somebody who legitimately kind of has that. What's the word for it? He's got that charisma that a lot of people around him on the defense tend to like him. And so he kind of helps elevate the guys around him in a little bit in that way with attitude, right?
Yeah.
So he's got kind of a little bit of everything kind of going for him in that way. He's a genuine nose tackle that's just a guy you kind of want to have on the team.
Yeah.
And he's just a big bruiser taking up a lot of space. And it makes it really hard on the defenses to run those inside kind of zones if they're going to run anything like that, you know?
100%.
So, yeah, but he's the only like true genuine nose tackle on my list. So.
Yep. And he is going to be good. I feel like he's a second rounder.
Yeah, I could see him as a second rounder. It's just that if you wanted a nose tackle in the first round, very specifically, that's who you grab.
Yeah.
If you aren't looking for a nose tackle and you want somebody who can just be a big guy on just the defensive tackle side, yeah, he's probably more likely a second rounder because he doesn't have the pass rush ability
really
as much as other guys
he's
does.
Pretty good at run stopping.
Yeah.
But like I don't.
So he's a big gap holder is probably the best way to put it.
Yes.
He's not somebody you want pass rushing.
All right.
And that's why he's lower on my list because I don't see him as somebody that I'd really want to pass rush. His main position is going to definitely be nose tackle, but if you don't want him as a nose tackle, he's just an okay gap stop of a defensive tackle. So, all right, moving on from that. I guess I can go after my three, or do you want to do your three?
No,
first?
you just start, and we'll go back and forth once we get to stuff. Because you do a third, and then I'll tell you about my keep an eye on, because he's technically my third.
Okay. Give me 1 second here, then. Gotta find him on my list here. So this one's gonna be kind of a weird one. Some people have him playing just general, like, defensive line, potentially even edge. I don't agree with that. I think he is better as a defensive tackle from what I've seen. The big problem again with him, which is why he's lower down on my list at number 3, is that he is a pure run defense guy. His pass rushing is kind of meh, which is why I don't understand why some people are putting him as edge. It is a guy out of Georgia, Christian Miller. I think he's kind of probably a second rounder. He's probably not a first. But his pass defense, or his rush defense, is really, really good. He's really good at kind of swallowing up interior gaps. He makes it hard for guards to really, hold him down for long periods of time. I guess there are some issues with his game. He can get a little tunnel vision at times, so if depending on the running back that he's playing up against, he can easily get kind of easily fainted, I guess is probably the way to look at it. But in general, he's really good at filling gaps. Again, like I said, I think he's definitely more of a second rounder. I don't think he's probably going in the first, but I think he's a very interesting prospect to just kind of keep an eye on for sure in that second to third round kind of territory. Loki, hey, goofball. But overall, I still wanted to kind of shout him out because I think he's got a lot of athleticism. I think he's got a lot of tools that will be really good. I think he's got a really high ceiling, but I think his current floor or potential floor is just, again, it's one of those things where this is what happens when you get into that second, third rounder. You have really high ceiling, but you have kind of really bottom floor, and it makes it hard to justify picking in the first round with that kind of
totally
you
understand.
have such a wide difference there. Yeah.
So my third isn't necessarily a guy I think is going to go first round or second round. He's probably more of a third, maybe a fourth rounder, but I do want people to keep an eye on him, especially because his combine really seemed to change the conversation around him, considering how fast he moved. He is 6'5", 313, and the dude posted a 40 time of 4.8.
Let me guess. Clemson,
DeMonte Capehart.
Okay. Yep.
I
have him as like a third rounder.
Yeah, I could see him as a third rounder, but He's very fast. He's quick. He's got great lateral movement for a guy who's 313. Got pretty good hands. Loves to attack the line of scrimmage. My biggest problem with him is he doesn't have great rush technique, and his tackling technique needs a lot of work. He sometimes comes in too high and just slides right off guys, and you're just like, come on, you're 313. That should not be happening to you. Right. But those types of things can be taught. His speed and motor and the intangibles that he has are things that cannot be taught, which is why I could see him in the 3rd round. Just keep an eyeball on him. I think he could develop into a feared presence.
Right.
All right, who you got at
sure.
2?
I get that. At 2, I have a guy out of Texas Tech in Lee Hunter. And I really kind of like this guy quite a bit because he kind of... So my big positives for him mostly are the fact that he is similar to some of the other guys I've already talked about, and that he's really good at the rush defense. He fills the gap really well. He's got a 6'9" wingspan. He's got a lot of burst at the front end. But he has added on to the ability that he is able to pass rush. The downside is his pass rush is very one note, which is, I'm going to power through you as a bull rush. He's got absolutely zero finesse skill of any kind. And so while he has the ability to pass rush, it is not his specialty. But the fact that he can do it does put him over the edge of others, which I think is kind of important. Dude's a little bit faster than you think he would be. He can move a little bit more than you would think. My only issue is that he can be a little stiff. In kind of on the line, he can be a little stiff. He can move, but it's limited, if that makes sense. Like, very short bursts, very quick side to side, but when it comes to like having to rotate or having to like I said, finesse move, try to move around somebody, he's just not as good at it. He's definitely the guy who's just, I'm going to try to push through you, and if you can't, then he's not going to generate any pass rush. So that's kind of where he is at. I have him labeled as like a late first, potentially early second kind of guy. But I don't know. I find him very interesting. He's got a very good ceiling. If he can work on some more pass rush movesets, I think he has the potential to be very dangerous.
That sounds like a lot of the guys that I looked at defensive tackle, unfortunately. And the same for this one, Caden McDonald, Ohio State. I call him a human roadblock given form because that's kind of how he plays. He is literally power. Power, and more power, and he's a bull rush monster, and he is going to try to put you on your butt. However, if that fails, he tends to just kind of give up. Doesn't really have anything beyond that, but he's very good at tracking down and stopping the run. He's great at bull rush. I wish he'd develop a couple of more pass rush moves.
Yeah.
But I see him as a first rounder. I don't think he slips to the second, but he could. I definitely think he's got first round talent.
Yeah, for sure, which is why I have him as my number 1 defensive tackle. I know people are going to be like, where's Peter Woods? I have him in a different category. Because Peter Woods, one thing that's good about Peter Woods is he's more versatile, which is why he's not necessarily just a tackle. I have him as technically a tackle/edge. If he was in my tackle, specifically tackles only, then he would be number 1. Just want to make that very clear. But Caden McDonald is my number 1, just straight defensive tackle. I think he's definitely a first rounder. I don't think he slips like you said. I think he is he's basically Lee Hunter, but a little bit better, right? Like I said, he's definitely the guy who stop gaps, his pass rush or his rush blocking and rush blocking. Jesus Christ, words. Rush defending is really good. His pass, it is very much like a bull rush kind of form. He's got pretty much no finesse skill of any kind. I guess my biggest issue also is the fact that he doesn't have the difference between him and Lee Lee's got a better wingspan. Caden is he's a little bit more short-armed, which not necessarily a huge issue, but it's going to make it harder to reach around some of the bigger guys to try to grab at the running back, right?
Yeah.
So it's just there are going to be certain moments where maybe you actually see Lee as a better option in that case. But I think Caden's a little stronger, so it's like, I think my honestly, my biggest issue with Caden isn't that he doesn't have the tool sets or even the intelligence. It's that, like you pointed out, if he gets stuffed, he just kind of gives up on a play, especially first down. And it just, that's an attitude issue in my opinion. That's something that's got to be tweaked out of him.
Especially if that bull rush fails, he just kind of goes, eh.
Yeah, and
I can't help but wonder if that's because he played with Sonny Styles and Arvell Reese.
That's possible, actually. That's possible.
Because those guys were absolute monsters, and he was like, one of them, I'll get him.
Yeah, I don't have to push it that hard. So I maybe it might be an attitude issue. It's hard to say, so that's why I'm like kind of a little hesitant on that. And I'm just like, ugh. But he's got, if you want somebody who's going to plug up holes, who on occasion can try to push for a pass rush, I think he's a good option for sure.
Yeah. So my number one is Peter Woods. I did list him at DT. I said, I'm honestly not sure what to do with him because he can play the edge and basically anywhere on the defensive line.
Yeah, pretty much anywhere on the defensive line.
He's got the physical tools to do that. For a dude that's 315 frickin' pounds, he bends in ways that shouldn't be possible for a guy his size. He's got really good sideline-to-sideline speed. He chases down running backs that are 80 or 90 pounds lighter than him. I really like him. I think he's probably one of the best defensive linemen because he can play anywhere on that line in the draft.
Yeah.
If you need a utility tool, you're looking at Peter Woods. If you plug him at defensive tackle, he's going to be a monster. The only things that I can say against him is for whatever reason, his stats and actual production don't seem to match the physical tools you see on the field. There's
which some people have argued that might be scheming related to the way that Clemson schemes him.
That absolutely
but
could
it's
be.
Hard to say for sure.
It's hard to say for sure what that disconnect is. I think he needs a couple of more pass moves because he's got a really good swipe. But if that fails, he doesn't have a reliable secondary backup. I'd like to see him develop a little bit more for that. Outside of that, he's a definite first-rounder. I just don't know how teams view him. And I'm putting him at defensive tackle, but teams could view him as an edge or a defensive end as well. And no matter where you put him, he's going to develop as a monster.
Right. Yeah.
All right.
Sure.
Moving on to edges.
Yeah, we could do edges.
Yeah, let's do some edges. You said you have 7, right?
I have 7. One of them, obviously, including Peter Woods, which we'll get to.
I have 7 as well with my keep an eye on player. So let's begin.
Peter Woods will be interesting when we get to him because he's not super high up on my list, but I'll explain why. Because he's definitely a top player, but I have my reasonings.
I think I had him at 3rd or 4th.
Yeah, he's not even going to be that high up. But like I said,
that's fine.
We'll get there.
No, that's fine.
We'll get there.
So talk about your number 7.
So my number 7 is he's a versatile lineman. So I have him as edge, but you could put him on the interior as well, to be honest with you. But he is out of Miami. It is Akeem Mesidor. Dude is kind of an interesting player. He's very...
Did you put him down there?
Got a lot of...
Did you put him down there because he's on my list? But did you move him down lower because of the injuries?
I'm worried about some of the injuries. I'm worried that he's overly aggressive at times, and he doesn't necessarily take the best cuts that he could take. I think his size is not what you would consider a typical edge size, if that makes sense, because his
those
arms
are all
a little
things I
shorter
noted as well. I have him a little higher up, but no, he's got a lot of positives.
But a lot of the things that I do like is that He has an extensive amount of pass rush moves to cut off the guy that he's going up against on the edges. He's got good strength. He's got good anticipation. He has a lot of upsides. I'm mostly worried about most of the two ones are the medical history, and that his size could be disadvantaged depending on who he's going up against. And this isn't to say that he's a bad edge at all. I think he's definitely a great edge. I have him as like late first, early second still, despite all of the issues that I personally have with him.
You know what it reminds me of? A little bit. I heard the same types of things, minus some of the medical crap, about a guy who turned into a very good edge rushing 3-4 linebacker, Elvis Dumerville. Out of Virginia Tech.
I could see it.
He played an edge defensive end at Virginia Tech and was very successful there. And then he got drafted by the Broncos, and I think they turned him into like a 3-4 defensive or 3-4 linebacker rush.
Yeah.
And if we did that with Messidor, I think you'd get pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good stat production out of that.
Like I said, I want to make it clear. It's not that I don't dislike him, even though he's at the bottom of my list. He's still very good. It's just there are just a couple of things that I worry about. He is also 25, which means he is older, which means like how much more ceiling are you going to get out of him versus what he's already put on tape, right? There's some questions there. Some people prefer having the younger players that they know they can develop versus the older player, which how much more development space is he going to have? You just don't know. So there are legitimate concerns, but that doesn't mean that he isn't already pretty damn good.
So down at 7, my keep an eye on player is probably seen more as a 4th rounder, 3rd, 4th, than anything. But I think it's because he doesn't have a lot of intangibles, but what he does have are well-developed skills. I am, of course, talking about an edge out of Florida by the name of Tyreek Sapp. As far as I know, there's no relation to Warren Sapp.
No, none that I saw.
None that I found. The kid he understands, he reads blocks well, he pushes through plays, he tackles all the way through a play when he tackles you. Good wrap up. He understands leverage and how to get around things. Got a decent cross chop. I think my big issues with him, his first step kind of sucks. It's average at best. Doesn't have much of a closing burst. While his cross chop is impressive, he needs a backup move. And, I view him as more of a secondary quarterback sacker, not your primary. So if you've already got one guy who's fucking awesome, this is a guy who can poach, because they're going to be double teaming that guy. Sapp could be your poacher. He only had 7 sacks last year. I don't think he's great at it, but I think he's good enough. So if you're getting down to that point of the draft and you're like, we could use a complimentary edge, Tyreek Sapp would be a good choice.
Right. That's
my viewpoint on it anyway. I don't know how you feel about any of that.
I get it. I understand where you're coming from.
Yay!
I'll talk about my 6th guy here. So 6 is actually my Peter Woods. I have Peter Woods at 6th on my list. Like I said, he would be probably the top of my defensive tackle if I put him as a pure defensive tackle. What I love about him, like you've already put out, is he's kind of a Swiss Army knife, right? He is so versatile. He could play anywhere on that line, which is also why he is 6th, because I feel like his tool set is so comprehensive that he's literally the jack of all trades, master of none, if that makes sense. I don't think he's mastered a tool set on any one position, which means that he is really, really good at a lot of things, but not great at any of them.
That makes sense.
And that's why I have him lower on my list. I still think if you put him as a pure defensive tackle and you were to basically pick him up in the draft and put him as only defensive tackle, and you only put him there, then and he masters that, then yes, I think he'll be number one easy. But if you are one of those teams that decides to try to move him around on that line all the time, I don't think he'll ever be great. I think he'll just be really good. So it just depends on what you do with him. But because he has that ability to go anywhere, I think is what's going to definitely push him into definitely first round, no question territory, because he's so versatile that any team could pick him up and find a place to put him on that defensive line and be happy with it.
All right. Yeah, no, I personally agree with everything you just said. My number 6, funnily enough, also comes out of the same school. Clemson.
Okay. Yeah, that's okay. You're talking about Parker.
Yep.
Okay.
TJ Parker out of Clemson. Things I love about him. Dude has long arms and really intelligent hands, especially when it comes to trying to strip out the ball and create a fumble. He's just...
Yeah, he loves the ball strip.
Yeah, he's got a talent for it. I don't know how better to describe it, but he has a talent for pulling balls out. I know that sounds kind of dirty, but...
He likes to pull his balls out.
The other thing I noticed is he drops into zone coverage pretty decently. Reads passing lanes pretty well. Don't count on him in man coverage. He's going to get burned. But if you need somebody to look like they're going to rush and then drop back into zone to fool your QB, yeah, he could do that. He reads QBs and ends up going ends up moving to where they're going rather than trying to chase the empty field behind them.
I was going to say that's actually kind of also, in a way, kind of one of his weaknesses. He is not winning foot races.
Oh, no, gods, no. He
isn't chasing down somebody from the opposite end of the field.
He's not going to win any foot races. He is decent against the run because he kind of understands plays and where they're coming. However, if the play is running the other way of him, don't expect him to be involved at all. He's going to be completely neutralized and taken out of the play. It's almost like he just gives up.
Yeah, and like you pointed out already earlier too, he loves going for the ball, but when it comes to tackling, that can be part of the problem.
Yes, he does allow some broken tackles because he's busy trying to punch the ball out.
Yeah. He'll just straight up.
But I still think he's
a
first rounder. He's either a late first rounder or high second, in my opinion. Love him to death, though. I think he's gonna be a menace for years to come. He's just not going to be the menace that you're like, oh, wow, he chased that guy all the way across the field like LT did. No, you're not going to see that. No.
I actually agree with everything you said, which is why he's actually my number 5. He is everything that we just said, all the strengths and weaknesses I totally agree with. So we don't really need to dive in.
I wonder who you don't have then. Maybe it's my number 5. I'll bet you don't have on the list.
Maybe.
Because so if you're not going to dive any deeper, do you have anything to add?
No, I mean I think we both talked about strengths and weaknesses at this point. I don't really need to go any deeper than that.
Okay, my number 5 is a different kid. I
will say one of the guys that I didn't put on my list that a lot of people have been putting high up on the list is out of Missouri.
No, I did not put him on my list.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
So I don't know who you're missing that I have, or who you moved somewhere else, or what. But
we're gonna find out.
Look, I'm gonna talk about a guy who's got one of the most violent first steps I've seen, and he fires into the gap with absolute authority. And it's an edge rusher out of Texas A&M, Cassius Howell.
Interesting. Okay.
You don't have him in your list, do you?
I have him higher on my list.
Oh, really? Interesting. I like the fact that he can get his hands up into the passing lane if he doesn't get to the quarterback. Bats balls down. He's got a great spin move, and he's got a counter spin. Because if he goes one way and it doesn't get there, he goes the other way really quickly.
Yeah.
And blockers just are not ready to prepare for that. He's like a whirling dervish, man.
Yeah.
And that's so annoying for people to have to deal with. I will say he does tend to have issues on run defense. He gets a little over aggressive in pursuit sometimes. I don't hate it, but again, I would view him more as a pass rusher than a run defender. He's also just a touch on the smaller side, so if you double team him, he washes out a little more easily. Those are the only things I have against him. But I really like him.
Yeah.
I will say 3, 4, and 5 on my list can be interchanged. I view them all pretty close together.
Yeah, I can see that.
So,
I can see that.
Who do you have at 5?
At 5, the guy that I have is actually out of Auburn.
I have him a little higher up.
No, sorry. 5 was T.J. Parker. Remember, we already went over that.
So who do you have at
4?
4
is out of Auburn. Yeah, Keldrick Falk.
Okay, I have him just a touch higher up.
Yep. I like his skill set quite a bit. He has a lot of things he can do at 6'6". Like, he's just a tall motherfucker.
Big.
He's a big dude. He's got really strong. When I say really strong, we're talking 700-pound squat strong.
Yeah.
Like, dude is strong. He's a violent man.
Yes.
So run defense is probably what I would say is big bread and butter. Because of that strength, he can just kind of overpower anybody he needs to get to the running back. My only concern is potentially speed, but he has a motor that doesn't quit. He just constantly is churning and trying to make whatever play he can out of anything that's given to him. And so, like, there's a lot that I like about that, but I don't like his quickness of it. Like, I guess agility is probably the way to put it, right? I don't think he's got great agility on his feet. His pass rushing is there, but I would say it's not as strong as others for sure.
Yeah,
like
100%.
The way he kind of wants to turn gaps is very shallow. Because I think he knows he doesn't have the higher speed that some of the other edges has. And so he's just not reliable when it comes to trying to pass rush.
Yeah.
But his run defense on an edge is really, really good. I don't know. I just think he's got a lot of upside. If he can work on some of his pass rush maneuvers, I think he's probably going to be one of the better edges. It's just funny because most of the time when you see edges, you'll see them be far better pass rushers than run blockers. So I find it very interesting that he is kind of the opposite in that way, where he's much more of a run defense guy versus a pass rusher. But I think the thing that's funny about the pass rushing is that's something that can be learnable, right?
Yeah.
Like, he's a little clumsy on his feet, but that doesn't mean that he can't get better. Sure, the way he wants to cut around the outside is a little shallow, but if he can learn to bend around the corner a little bit better, I think he's got a much better chance to really pass rush. So there's a lot going for him, especially at the size and strength that he has. I think the problem that I have him why he's a little lower down is because I feel like he kind of abuses the fact that he is taller and stronger, and that's what allows him to get away with a lot more than he really should. And I think in the NFL, he's going to learn really quickly that he can't rely on that athleticism as much.
I agree. My number 4 is a guy you've already talked about and talked a lot about, Akeem Messidor out of Miami.
Okay.
This is where I put him. And that's, of course, provided he holds up with injury concerns. He did have to have foot surgery twice throughout his career. I will say that his pass rush move set, you can see the work that he's done with Jason Taylor, the Hall of Famer, who is the edge coach for Miami.
Yeah.
So you can definitely see the influence. That's why he's got such a deep moveset. He's got a great first step, but you noted all the problems. He's got injury concerns. He's a little bit small. He can get washed out by big, powerful tackles. I love his motor and I love his intensity. I just hope his body holds up. That's my concern. Outside of that, I think he's a fantastic edge rusher. Who do you have at 3?
Right. So at 3, I have a guy that you did already talk about out of Texas A&M, which is Cassius Howell. I like him just a little bit more than you did, and mostly it's that insane speed and that agility, and that way he just outsmarts the shit out of his opponents. He's got great agility. I don't, man, there's a lot that I like about him, but there is a couple of things that I don't like about him, which mostly comes down to because he doesn't have as much of a wingspan, and because his weight is a little lower, like you've already pointed out, you double team him and he really ain't doing shit.
He ain't doing nothing.
But as long as he is one-on-one with a guy, 9 times out of 10, he's going to blow past that dude easy. Unless they got great footwork, he's blown by anybody. That speed for an edge is intense. And his finesse moves, his footwork, is probably some of the best I've seen personally in a while, as far as like guys coming out of college. I mean, I think he's already kind of ready to go as a prospect. He's one of those guys you plug and play and you're good to go. You work on a little bit of things here and there. Maybe you bulk him up a little bit. Maybe give him a little bit more strength to deal with some of those 2-on-1 blocks. But outside of that, like, the only other downside he has, like, legitimately, is he can go after a rusher. The problem is the way that he kind of plays, and because of his shorter size, he can sometimes lose sight of where the rusher is going and just completely whiff on the running back. Like, it just happens. Yep. It's like, oh, no, all right, he's already passed me. Shit. All right, well, my bad. Like,
yeah,
it happens.
Yeah.
But outside of that, like, he's got all the talent that he needs and all of the abilities and the intelligence to play a really, really good edge.
Yep. My number 3 is a guy you already talked extensively about, and it is the edge rusher out of Auburn, Keldrick Falk. I like him a little better than you because I believe that in that run defense, he sets the edge with an intent to be nasty. And he's got this relentless motor that just, he's never 100% out of a play, ever.
Right.
He just keeps going. He's got this long arm, like a stab move with his arm, and it's a legit weapon to, like, get off me. You know, and I love it to death. As you mentioned, he is not going to win a foot race. Right. His first step is needing work. His overall flexibility and bend is not great. And only really has 1 or 2 rush moves. Doesn't really have, if they get locked into him, he doesn't really have a reliable counter to anything. I'd like to see him develop some counter rush moves, but I think he could be an absolute beast. He's 6'6". If you could teach him a couple of counter rush moves, I think he could be an absolute monster out there at the edge, and I think we would love to watch that. I'm going to be interested to see who you have at 2, to see if we flip-flopped 1 and 2.
There's a chance, but I don't know what you did. We'll see, obviously. Yeah. So at 2, I have guy out of Texas A&M, David Bailey.
Tech. Tech.
Texas Tech. Sorry, Texas Tech, not Texas A&M. Yeah, I said that wrong. I had to scroll back up and double check. You're right. It is Texas Tech.
I actually agree with you.
I think he is. A lot of people have him listed as like a linebacker / edge. I think he's a far better edge than he is a linebacker personally.
Agree.
Not that he can't play linebacker, but I just don't know if that skill set's going to translate into the NFL properly. I think just sticking him at edge and having him learn edge is probably the better way to go. Overall, the things that I like about him is that he has explosive first steps.
Oh, he's got one of the fastest really first steps in this class. Easy.
Yeah, he's got really good timing on the snap. He can kind of really, because of that first step that allows him to kind of throw off the rhythm of whoever he's playing up against pretty quickly. He's got really good athleticism when it comes to strength. He's not the strongest, but he's got really good strength still, regardless of that. He, I wouldn't say his speed is really good, but his ability to be agile is probably the way I put it. Like, he can really shift gears. He can immediately flip his hips around to go after somebody who maybe, like, if a running back kind of runs by him,
100%.
he can easily flip around to go after him. He's got the speed to catch up to him on short bursts.
Yep.
One of my favorite things about him is, unlike some of the other guys we've talked about, is he doesn't give up on the play.
No.
If the guy is on the other side of the line or the other side of the field from him, he's going to chase after him.
Yes.
He might not catch him, but he's going to fucking try.
Relentless motor, and he will go sideline to sideline.
Yeah, he will go try to reach for him if he can. Now, the downside is his size is a little smaller. We are talking at the max around 250, right?
Yeah.
Like, that is
I think about 250. His frame looks pretty maxed out at that weight.
Yeah. He's not going to be able to, like, if you try to put him at linebacker, I just don't think his ability to read kind of what the quarterback's going to do is very good, which is why I don't want to put him on linebacker. I do worry about some of his strength when it comes to going up against a run block system. I worry about him being able to try to outpower the guys on the offense.
He's
a
a
little
good
bit.
pass rushing, like a speed rushing 3-4 edge.
Yeah. And so he's even though he's, and this is one of the things that's weird about it, right? Like, I think he's not as versatile, but in a way, if the right team picks him up for him, he has the potential to be really, really good.
Yes.
But it has to be the right scheme. He's a scheme-specific kind of player, in my opinion.
I agree firmly 100%. I think about the only thing that I have here that you haven't talked about is his tendency to sometimes leave his assignment and over-pursue the quarterback, which tends to open up running lanes if you have a more mobile quarterback that can escape him.
Yeah.
Sometimes he leaves that lane a little open because he's so focused on trying to hit the QB.
Yeah, he'll get a little too focused.
Yeah. That's about the only other negative I have on him. So then, of course, I'll talk about the number one guy, and I'm sure we each have the same guy at this point, out of Miami, Reuben Bain Jr.
Yeah, Reuben Bain.
Guy is a monster. He's got a pretty decent first step. Not quite as fast as Bailey, but easily probably.
Not quite as fast,
I
but
think
still
the second
close.
second fastest. He gets to O linemen before they get set. Gives pretty good effort all the way through the play. Now, he does get beat in the open field a little bit by shifty players like running backs. If you can pull off a good juke move, you're going to leave him looking for his jockstrap on the field.
Yeah.
However, I will say that he also needs like a couple of more pass moves. He's relying a lot on athleticism right now. Yeah. And I'd like to see him develop a couple of more pass moves for the next level. But I still think he's a day one plug and play. He obviously loves crunch time. When that pressure turns up in the crunch, the big game scenarios, his talent and effort level go up in proportionate factor.
For sure.
I think he's going to be an absolute monster at the next level. I just think he needs a little refinement because he's a little rough. Polish him up a bit, and he's going to be a diamond.
I think one of my biggest issues with him at this point, and it's not even really bad, but it's enough of a talking point for me. Off the desk, stupid. is he's not the best at finishing some of those tackles.
No, he definitely needs.
He's definitely a guy who's going to slow you down, and somebody else is going to get you pretty quick. But he, for whatever reason, has an issue wrapping up guys and really finishing tackles in a way that's kind of concerning a little bit at times. But the fact that he's even putting hands on a guy and slowing him down enough is a good positive. It just means he needs to work on some of his tackling just a little bit here and there. Because obviously, running backs in this league, I mean, breaking tackles is what they do. So if you're not good at finishing, you're never going to get down a running back. Like, you're just going to, all you'll do is hit them, and they're going to bounce right off of you, and out they go. So he just has to work on that a little bit. I think against quarterbacks it's less of an issue, but when he's going up against running backs, very specifically, he tends to not finish the tackles in a way that is concerning. But we'll see if that's something that can be fixed for the long term.
All right. Yeah. Let's move to linebackers. How many did you say you have here? 5?
I have six, but only 5 that are like real. Okay, so I have 3 that are definitely first rounders, 2 that are like late first, probably actually second rounders, and 1 that's just a straight up second rounder, but I kind of like him a little bit, so I wanted to kind of like, shout him out just a little bit. It's one of those guys.
All right, you start, and when we get to 4, I'll kick back in because that's where my keep an eye on is.
Gotcha. So I'm gonna start with at my number 6, who I think is just a straight up second rounder. I mean, I would be surprised if he goes in the first, to be honest with you. He might not even make it second round. He could slip actually into the third technically. But he is out of Cincinnati. It is Jake Golday. I think some of the things I like about him, which is why I have him more of a second rounder, is he's got good speed at 6'4", 239 pounds, 39-inch vertical. I mean, he's got a really good jump. And he's faster than you would think he is by looking at him. I mean, he ran a 4.62, which is pretty decent, but it's not like the best. But he's got good agility, if you get what I'm saying there. There's a difference between outright speed and agility, right? He's good on his feet and moving. He can go kind of sideline to sideline a little bit. He's pretty consistent when it comes to tackling, which is pretty important for a linebacker, in my opinion. And he's just got one of those. Again, we kind of talked about it with other players. He just has a motor that kind of goes all the way through. He doesn't really slow down from first quarter to fourth quarter. He's got a very continuous kind of rhythm to the way he plays. He can drop into zone pretty easily. He's got the ability to rush when he needs to, like some of the linebackers, the last one to do that, right? I think the only some of the problems that he does have is that he can get overly greedy in the zone and can easily get manipulated by good route runners. He isn't always going to be right on top of the wide receivers. He can sometimes be slightly slower. His agility is good, so if we're talking first step, but once you start getting into a deeper kind of or a longer lasting play, he's going to lag behind. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So he's got a lot going for him, but he is one of those like linebackers that you probably want to use in limited situations. You're not going to want to throw him all the way in the zone. He's one of those guys that like you're more often probably going to ask him to pass rush and once in a while drop into his zone, but he's not going to always be there kind of thing, you know? But he's got a good tool set. I think if you give him some time to develop, I think he could be a better kind of zone guy. But again, I think his specialty is going to be much more, I can drop in his zone on quick pass plays, or I can be the guy who's just going to bull rush you and be that kind of extra kind of guy in the box, because you just don't know exactly if he's going to rush in the box or if he's going to back off into the zone. Anything deep down the field, he's not really doing much. So he is kind of a limited situation linebacker, but his size allows him to kind of be a little bit of a bully in the short pass game.
All right. Next. At 5.
Let me pull him up. At 5, we're talking about a late first. Some people have him going all the way to late second. I personally grade him a little bit higher, but that's just a personal take. It is out of Texas Tech, Jacob Rodriguez.
Okay.
I find him to be kind of an interesting player. He's got a very good awareness for when it comes to like the downhill speed. So if he drops in a zone, recognizes it's a rush. His ability to immediately read kind of what the quarterback's doing and the running back's doing is very quick. So he's very quick on his feet. His lateral burst is pretty good. So if he needs to like chase down a player, he does have the ability to do so. He's one of those guys that just is really good at reading routes, and so he kind of can figure out a play pretty quickly, recognize what the quarterback is likely going to want to do, and try to cut off that kind of ability to do so. The problem is when it comes to the rushing game, even though he's good at recognizing it, dude can get juked out of his shoes. Like it just, he's not. While he understands what's happening, he doesn't necessarily have all of the athleticism to prevent it from happening. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Sadly, yeah. No,
and the other problem is he's super aggressive, which can be both really good and really bad.
Really, really bad.
Yeah, so it can kind of turn on him on a dime. Yeah, it can turn on him on a dime. So that's where like the missed tackles comes into play. He can get overly aggressive and try to reach for somebody, and then not realize that he took a bad cut, and that's the end of that, right? So I think he's a smart player. He is athletic. I think if he just works a little bit on some of the game stuff, and that's the thing that I think that I like about him, which is why I have him as technically a late first rounder. I think he's more likely to be an early second. But that's why I rated him the way he is. People have him like late second, early third. I think he's better than that. I think he's got the brain for the game, and that's the big positive because he is athletic. He can make up and learn all of the other things that's kind of holding back. He's not somebody who's limited by like, oh, he's maxed out his athleticism and he has no brain and he can't learn it. Like he's already there. He's not that far behind these other guys. You just give him a little bit more time to learn, and he's going to be a really good linebacker.
All right. Who do you have at 4?
At 4, all right.
This is where things are going to get fun.
This is a guy that I do definitely have as late first, early second, and most people tend to agree with this. Guy out of Texas, Anthony Hill Jr.
Yep, 100%.
So he's basically what I would call what I already talked about with Jacob Rodriguez, but just better.
Yes.
Like he's got all the same tool sets, just better.
Yes.
His side-to-side range is really good. He's got good speed. He's very violent when it comes to just if you're a running back and you see this guy running at you, you might be a little scared because he's gonna hit you really fucking hard. Like
very true.
He doesn't slow up. But that's again, like I've already talked about with Rodriguez, can be part of the problem because he's so intent on hitting you so hard that you can juke pretty much out of his shoes. Like
wait,
almost
my
a little
cleats are over there now.
Times. Yeah, he can be a little overly aggressive, but the difference with the missed tackles is that where Rodriguez is just going to straight up miss, I think Anthony Hill has a little bit longer arms, which will allow him to still put hands on you. He might not get the tackle, but he might slow you down enough where one of his other guys is going to come over and be able to pop you.
I 100% agree.
So he's got a little bit he's got some that makes up for that. Overall, I just think he's really good. I think his man coverage is probably better than Rodriguez's is, but it's still not great. I don't know. I think overall he's just he's a really solid linebacker that's got a couple of issues when it comes to kind of tunnel visioning on the ball carrier a little bit, right? So there can be some issues there, but overall I think he's got the ability to quickly kind of adapt to the league. He's got the school set. Like play action can fool him, but that's teachable, obviously, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So overall, a really good linebacker. I think in a lot of other draft years, he'd be probably higher to top of the board. I just think there's other linebackers that are just better right now.
Yes, I agree. My number 4 is more of a late second, early third in my book, because he's got a lot of pluses. But some of his minuses make it like he needs work before he's a true starter. But I think that in the right system, and if they're using him for the right things, he could be. Also, he does have an NFL pedigree already. His brother currently plays in the league, and his dad played in the league. I'm, of course, talking about the linebacker out of Missouri, Josiah Trotter. who
Yeah.
is the son.
I thought about putting him on my list.
He
was
is the
just
son of
outside my list.
Jeremiah Trotter. Look, let's talk about it real quick. Run defense. Pass defense. That's really what you need to know. He could run defend like a monster. He reads great angles. He wraps up on his tackles. People don't escape him very often. Cannot read the quarterback to save his life. Not great in zone coverage. Takes entirely too long to recognize schemes. Don't even ask him to cover a running back in the flat. He's going to get lost. Now, on the other side, can he pass rush? He's gotten pretty good at that delayed pass rush, where you rush everybody, where you rush some guys, and some guys look like they're hanging in coverage and then come in. He's really good at faking you out on that. Really good at that. But I think he makes his bread and butter as a run defender. So if you need him as a situational guy because you know there's a run coming because it's short, this is the guy you want because he's not going to allow any extra yards. He's going to be he can play up in the box and absolutely stuff a run. And he's really, really good at it. If he can learn how to pass defend even a little bit in the zone, I think he could be a starter. But currently, I view him as more of a late second, early third kind of a back right now.
I get you. Like I said, he was definitely a guy that I was debating upon putting on my list, but I ultimately didn't because I felt he was just a little lower down.
Yeah,
overall.
he's a little more raw than some of the guys.
I did take a look at him. Yeah.
Just a little more raw, but I think he's got potential. That's why I call him keep an eye on because I think he's got potential.
Yeah. No, I agree.
All right, who do you have at 3? I'll bet you. At this point, I'm sure we're gonna have the same 3.
Potentially. We'll see. I don't know if they're going to be in this exact same order, but we'll see. I mean, the top 2, I think, will probably have the same. I don't know.
We'll see.
Yeah, I guess we could see. So I got out of Georgia, C.J. Allen at number 3.
Agree.
Yeah, so then we'll probably have all the top 3 the same then.
Yep.
What I like about him the most is that he's kind of a leader on that defense, typically. He's really good at communicating with the rest of the guys on defense. He is actually one of those linebackers that's a really good blitzer as well. He can really break off of, guards and blockers that are trying to get in his way when it comes to doing so. And he's got a natural feel for the game where you can tell where he kind of just relies on his instincts a lot. But that also is part of his problem, is that he can kind of rely too much on his instincts. And I think that catches him off guard quite a bit when it comes to being in man or zone coverage. He can read routes, but the problem is that he just doesn't have as much agility to really keep up with a really good route runner sometimes. So I'm curious to see how that's going to work for him when it comes into the NFL, because he already kind of displays some issues with that when it comes to some of the top current wide receivers in college. How is that going to look against the NFL guys, right? I just worry about
100%.
plopping him too much. He can get caught off guard against play action, but again, that's kind of the point of play action, so I don't want to hold him too much against that, but he will leave soft spots in the middle of the field, making it kind of easy for that. I don't know. There's just enough concerns that I don't have him higher up, but there's a lot of positives, and like I said, a lot of the positives that you're taking away is he's instinctually good at the game. So you get him to learn a little bit more, he'll be even better. He's a natural leader on a team, which is great to have if you want somebody who's a kind of a captain on the defensive side as a linebacker.
Yeah.
He's got really good blitzing potential. He's got good run defense. He's kind of a good all-around, just needs to work on some of those fundamentals a little bit more.
No, 100% I agree with you. Firmly agree with you, I should say, on most of that. One of the things I do want to point out, something that you didn't talk about that I would like to talk about.
Oh, yeah, go.
I think he's probably one of the most consistent tacklers in this class.
No, yeah, I agree with that.
He doesn't miss tackles.
Once he gets hands on you,
yep. Once he gets
you're not probably getting away.
Yes. He reads his keys very quickly, allows him to get downhill in a hurry. I think he's better in zone than he is in man. And I think the biggest degree of problem that with his instincts is he bites a little too often on play action. If you feed him a good play action, his instincts are going to tell him you're running the ball and he's going to break off. And that's going to leave people open. He needs to work on that kind of ID. But outside of that, I think he's a great leader. I think if you want somebody to wear the green dot, and set your defense, this is the guy to do it.
You're right.
All right. Let's talk about number 2. I'm sure it's the same guy, because I'm pretty sure we have the same guy at number 1. This one, and they're going to be from the same school.
They're both from the same school.
Yeah, out of Ohio State.
We'll talk about Sonny Styles.
Sonny Styles. Let's talk about Sonny Styles.
So there are things that I like, and there are plenty of things I don't like. I will say the very first thing to talk about is he comes in at 244 and runs a 40 and 4.46.
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
That's pretty good.
As I said, super athletic, shows up on the tape. The dude is an athletic freak.
He easily is like one of those guys as a linebacker that you could pair. Like, sometimes linebackers have an issue when it comes to pairing up against tight ends. This guy won't have that problem.
No, will not have that issue.
He's got the speed to keep up with him. He's got the size to keep up with him. He's one of the few guys that, like, if you want somebody covering a short yardage tight end, he's not going to have a problem with it.
Absolutely not.
He's good. He's got good instincts when it comes to being in the zone, and in general yardage situations, in general mid to short yardage situations.
Yes.
And he can easily blitz as much as, like I've already talked about with CJ. He can also blitz pretty well. My biggest issue is what you already talked about with your other guy, which is dude bites on fucking play action like it's nobody's business.
I have noticed that. It's like
it doesn't even have to be good play
No,
action.
it does not. It's like for some reason there are certain fish that bite on certain bait, and play action is his bait. If you feed it to him, he's gonna strike at it even if he knows it's wrong. It's like that hitter that can't stop chasing curveballs.
Pretty much. And my second big issue with him is that I want him to have more anticipation when he's zone defending. I feel like he's good at reacting to what's happening for the play, but he's not necessarily good at when it comes to anticipation. And what I mean by that is he's not a guy who's going to jump the pass to go for an interception. It's just he's not good at it. He's good at the reaction, not the anticipation.
He's good at getting to the play as it's happening to knock the ball away or hit the receiver as the ball gets there. Yeah. But he's not going to be the guy that makes the interception. He's going to be the guy that the receiver bats the ball in the air and somebody else is coming down with the interception.
Yeah, exactly.
I also noted, as good as he is at pass rushing, I think he needs to be better. He's not great at it. He can do it, but I think there's some work that needs to be done there. And do not ask him to cover man. He cannot.
No.
He cannot do it. He cannot do it.
No. I'm like I said, on short yardage situations against like tight ends, yeah, he can. But outside of that, yeah, not really.
and if you throw any kind of play action at him,
yeah,
he's out of the play.
Yeah, more or less. He creates big soft spots, I guess.
I will say he is very good, competent tackler in the open field. And he loves to play sideline to sideline, and you can see it on the tape. So I think he's a number 2. I think he's great. But as great as he is, number 1...
Yeah, his other guy is his other teammate was just far and away better, which is Arvell Reese. It's not even close, unfortunately.
Good God.
I think Arvell Reese is probably a top 10 prospect, to be honest with you. Heck, a lot of people have him going top 5.
Yeah, I don't
disagree with.
I think he's a top 5 easy.
Yeah.
He has these long arms, loves to get into passing lanes.
Yep. And he's not exactly slow either. I mean, what did he
No.
run a 40? He also ran a 4.46. So I mean,
Yeah. The biggest downside on him is he doesn't have any man coverage, as we've already noted, but he is a linebacker, and
yep.
he's only got like 16 games of experience under his belt.
Yeah, and I guess his other thing is if you're going to use him as like somebody who's going to pass rush, kind of like you talked about already with Styles, is he can pass rush, and he's got one solid tool set that works really well, but when it doesn't work, he ain't doing shit.
As I noted, doesn't really have moves. It's all pure athleticism and just blowing by people.
Yeah, for the most part, yeah.
It's a speed rush. If he can speed rush you, you're out of the play and he's getting to the quarterback. But if you can put any kind of hand on him and knock him off balance, chances are that's it.
Yeah, for the most part. But what I like about him is he is so athletic, right? I think that he can learn a lot of that stuff.
Yes.
He's got really good agility. He's got good quick speed. He's got the power to really kind of throw somebody off when it's not expected. Like, he's just got a lot of the tools, he's got a lot of the abilities, I should say, but not all of the tools and all of the knowledge on how to properly utilize all of it. And so he is somebody that, like, while he's ready to play now for sure, he's one of those guys that can only get better.
Yes.
If he just gets in the right system not necessarily the right system, but the right coaching.
To me, he's an easy top 5 pick. No question about it. I don't think there should be a single person here that questions Orville Reese's spot.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people have him as an edge, or they have him as a linebacker, and they have Bailey as a linebacker, and there's some question about Bailey or Reese, and there's no question to me it's Reese all the way.
I would prefer Reese as a linebacker. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, while you could put him as an edge, my problem is that his skill set at that right now is so limited that it doesn't make sense to do that. He's definitely a far better linebacker. Could he eventually learn to be an edge? Sure, but why not do what most people do with linebackers, especially these kinds of linebackers? Make him a hybrid. He can do both. Depends on the play. You know, you throw him in the box, and people are gonna think he's gonna rush, and then have him immediately jump back into a zone coverage. It's gonna throw people off. He can do that. He can be really good at that. Make him be that guy that you just never know exactly what he's going to do. You know?
Yeah, 100%. All right. Corners?
Let's talk corners.
You've got like 8 of these guys, right?
I got 8 corners. 2 of them are kind of like potentially actually second rounders, but I am legitimately curious to see why you have less corners. I guess, to be fair, like we've already discussed, like, is there a high need for corners in this draft? Potentially not, which is why some of these guys might slip. But some of these guys are like I said, I have 6 for sure first round talent corners without question.
I get it.
I think only 4 of them are probably going in the first round.
I agree. I think I have 4, and then I have my number 5 is my keep an eye on. I do agree there's more talent than that available, but I just don't. I don't know. I didn't research them because I just don't know if they're going or not.
Yeah, that's fair. I went with anybody that I thought had first round talent. And that's
fair enough.
So.
That's fair enough. So when we get to 5, I'll do my keep an eye on, and so you start down at 8, and let's get going.
Yeah, I can work my way up.
Yep.
Okay, so first I'm going to talk about a corner out of Indiana, which is D'Angelo Pons.
Yep.
He's definitely like an outside zone corner. I have him rated as like a mid-second, but if you really wanted him, you could pick him in the first. I don't think he will, but he's definitely like a mid-second, late-second kind of pick. Big things is he's got track speed, like he's legitimately fast.
Yes.
He ran a 4.36. Downside is he's only 5'9". That is a concern.
Yeah, a little bit small.
He is a little small. he's really good at reading quarterbacks. Like he's good at being able to read kind of what they're doing. Like he's one of those, you know how like corners are expected to kind of read the eyes of the quarterback to see where they're going to go. He's really good at that. He has the ability to do picks. I think what was his vertical? His vert was 43.5, which is
not bad.
Really good, actually.
That's pretty good.
It's really good for a corner, which is what he kind of makes up for. So a lot of people are like, "Oh, he's short." Well, when your vertical is 43.5, it kind of makes up for being a little on the shorter side, which is why he's lower on my list. Is because he's short, and people are going to see he's short, but he's fast. He can jump really high, which is what allows him to kind of make a play for the ball as a corner in more ways than people expect. I think he's got a lot of, what's the word to look for? He's one of those corners that's super aggressive and in a way that you wouldn't expect for someone that's 5'9". Like he's a dog. Like he likes to play hard ball, but he seems like a guy that's so small that he shouldn't get away with what he does. If that makes sense.
Totally understand.
But a lot of the, I've already kind of talked about a lot of the weaknesses already. He's short. He's only 182 pounds. So if he goes up against, say, DK Metcalf, he's going to have a bad time.
Yes.
Like, you see what I'm saying? He's a gambler because, like I said, he's good at reading the quarterback. But as we know with, like, a Stafford, for example, really good at faking where he's actually throwing. And this is the type of guy that's going to bite on that shit all the time. So he's got a lot of the positives, but he needs to work on a couple of things. And I just worry ultimately if his size is going to be his ultimate downfall in the league, because I don't know if he's going to get much bigger at 182 at 5'9". He could maybe put on some more muscle, but I just don't know how much, right?
Yeah, and I don't know how much that would affect his speed.
Exactly. So if you pair him up against, like, another just smaller, speedy wide receiver, I think that's where his bread and butter is going to be. So it just depends on the situation.
Potentially a slot corner.
Potentially slot. I do worry about some players that are in that because some of those slot receivers are really fucking fast. I don't know how well he's going to be able to match up with that, but it's potential. There's potential there. Either way, I think he's a very interesting prospect, mostly for the fact that people were counting him out due to that size. And when he did that vertical, a lot of people went, "Whoa, hold on. Maybe he can keep up with some of these other guys in the NFL just because of that ability." So I don't want people to write him off just because of that. Like, he's not just a speed guy. He is a point ball guy. He's going to ball hawk. Whether or not he's going to be able to do that successfully against some of the bigger wide receivers, that's yet to be determined.
Yeah.
On to my seventh guy, which is guy out of Arizona State, Keith Abney II.
Yep.
Another guy that's labeled as an outside zone. He ran a 4.45 40, which is fine. Not great, but it's fine. Let's see here. He comes in at 187, so he's not super weighty. And again, he's only 5'10", so like, yeah. Right? So he's a little shorter. There's some concerns there. But he's very competitive. He's got that kind of high drive, high motor kind of attitude. He's good at disrupting catches, if that makes sense. So he's not necessarily he's not like, the difference between him and Pons is he's not going to be the guy that's going to high point to try to go for interceptions. He's just going to try to bully you from catching the ball. And he's actually really good at it. So he's and that's what allows him to kind of be like, I guess a violent tackler is the way to put it, right? He's going to hit you really hard in hopes for you to drop the ball and not be able to complete the catch. He's got good zone instincts. Apparently he was a former speed skater. Didn't know that. At least before researching. I didn't know he's actually apparently a speed skater. So he's got good hips. He's very fluid. His run blocking his run support, I guess, technically, because corners are not really getting up. But his ability to try to support against a run if, say, a running back gets past the first line of defense is kind of weak. He's not gonna be like, even though he's a good tackler, his ability to really catch up to the running back is not as good as you'd want it to be. He can kind of bite too much when it comes to double moves against, wide receivers that are really good when it comes to route running. If a receiver kind of like jukes him out of his shoes, he's gonna have a hard time catching up to him.
Yeah.
So there are some downsides to him, but I think. And he gets a little handsy. Like, he did get some penalties when he was playing last year. So
I'm noticing that to be a common trait among some of these corners.
Yeah. But he's got a lot of upside. I think if he just works on being a little less handsy, I think he could be a really good zone corner. I don't know how good he's going to be long against, like, man-to-man, especially if he's going to bite on some of these kind of wide receiver jukes, so to speak, especially on the on initial contact. So I do worry about long term, but he has ability to be a versatile corner. So if you can't do man, if you throw him in as like a boundary corner or even like a slot corner, he has the ability to do those. So that versatility is what I think kind of gives him the ability to be a potential first rounder, more likely second, but it's that versatility that he has.
All right, who do you have at 6?
At 6, this is where I'm getting into bona fide. I believe this is a first rounder now.
Go ahead.
Even though this guy, so him and the next guy above him, I think will probably not go first round, but they have first round potential.
Yep.
So the first guy I want to talk about is from South Carolina. It is Brandon. I might butcher this last name.
You're going to.
But is it Ciesi?
I think so. Sissy? Cece?
See, I didn't want to say Sissy because Sissy sounds weird. But it could be.
It's weird, yeah. His last name is really weird. I thought about putting him on my list. I ultimately decided against it, but totally could go over, because I feel like any of these next couple of guys you're going to mention, I think could go in that 4th slot in the first round.
Yeah.
So, these next, what I consider 3 guys, could all be interchangeable for me at 4th.
Yeah. So what I'm gonna say is he's 6 foot, downside 189. I don't think he feels his frame fully yet. I think he can definitely put on some more muscle if he wants to.
Yeah.
However, he runs a 4.4 flat.
Yeah.
And so I do worry about how much, if he puts on too much more weight, how much slower is he gonna get, right?
Yeah.
And despite the fact that he's 6 foot, which you could say is like not super tall for a corner, it's fairly average. I would say fairly average for a corner. But he's got a 41 vert, which is, we're talking top 96%. Like he's got a really tall jump. Even his broad was 131. So dude is really good when it comes to lateral explosion and even downhill bursts, right? He's very good at some of that kind of stuff. His arm length is a little bit more than you would expect, especially for corners. So with that combination of his ability to jump, he's going to be kind of like one of those ball hawks. He's got good strength, so he can kind of jam receivers. He's got that kind of skill set, which is nice. And he's just really good at processing the offense, like what are the routes, what's the cornerback likely going to be looking at. He's very comfortable when it comes to being in man coverage. There's just a lot that I really like about him. But the downside is, well, we talked about guys that are really good at zone, but not really good at man. Well, he's really good at man. Guess what he's not so good at? Zone. Unfortunately, that is just one of those situations. It's rare to get people that are good at both all the time, especially out of college. He can bite too much on route fakes and double moves from wide receivers a little too much. So even though he can jam them up, he can kind of get tricked out of his feet a little too easily. He does feel a little grabby at times, which might get him flagged in the NFL, and obviously the big one for him, I would have him a little higher on the list, but the big problems is the injury concerns.
Yep.
Is he going to be long-term durable? I don't actually know.
Yep.
And that's my biggest concern. Get off the desk.
God,
you know better.
He doesn't care. That's the problem.
No, he really doesn't. So that's kind of where I put Brandon at. I think Brandon has the potential to be a really, really star-studded corner, but I worry. Ooh, hello. Why did you do that? Sorry. But I do worry long term about durability. I worry about him being a little too handsy. I worry that that zone coverage is going to end up really being a bad factor. But if you just put him up one on one with people, I think that's where his bread and butter definitely is going to be at.
I agree with you 100%. Who do you have at 5?
At 5, I have a guy out of San Diego State.
Yep.
Chris Johnson.
Yep. Saw this coming.
Again, 6 foot. He comes in at 193, so he's a little bit heftier than Brandon was, but he still runs a 4.4 flat, which is still really good. Difference is his vert is a little less. It's a 38 vert versus a 40, but still, I mean, for his size, that's pretty damn good. He's good at processing information when it comes to being at the line of scrimmage, kind of already knowing what a play likely is going to look like just from being in scrimmage.
Yep.
He's good at reading the routes. He's good at reading the quarterback eyes. He's really good at flipping and kind of following receivers' routes. His zone coverage is probably some of the top-notch zone coverage I've seen. He's got good ability to ball hawk. Like, there's a lot that I really like about him. But some of the downsides, he is a little lighter at 194. I don't know how much, if he adds on more, is going to affect his speed. While he is good at contesting catches as a ball hawk against bigger guys that we've talked about before, like, DK Metcalf, he's going to have issues. Hard to say. He's not going to be as strong as they are, so I don't know about that. He's not as aggressive as I would want him to be in certain situations, especially against some of the smaller receivers he goes up against. It kind of gives them too much room to work with, and you know how that can kind of be an issue, especially for speedy, smaller wide receivers. If you give them too much room to work with, if you don't try to jam them, they can just kind of fly right by you. I wish he would learn a little bit more jamming techniques to really prevent that.
Yeah.
So there are just a couple of things that kind of hold him back overall. But if he can learn some of those things, I think he can be an elite corner for sure.
Yes. All right, my number 5, again, let's keep an eye on. I view him as more of a 3rd or 4th round corner, especially because of his injury history. And he's not particularly fast. He only runs a 4.5. But he's got some upsides I like. I am going to talk about the corner from Florida, Devin Moore.
Okay. Yeah.
He is the big thing. He's 6'3", 198. He's big as far as corners go, and he uses it because he tackles like a beast. His career missed tackle percentage is like 8%, which for a corner is stupidly good. He likes to get after the run. He tracks stuff down. He can also track the ball at full speed, and he's pretty good at high pointing it. Problem is, he's not super fast. He does tend to stand up, and he's a little late flipping his hips. He's got a lot to work on.
Right.
I feel like he's going to be a very good complementary corner, or perhaps safety. Like an over-the-top type of safety. Because there his speed won't kill him quite as badly. And he can still move into the box and help with the run. I just don't I don't see him as a 1st or 2nd round corner. I view him as a 3rd or a 4th rounder. But I think, again, there's enough potential and enough intangibles there that I like that I wanted to kind of highlight him for everybody.
Great.
So, all right,
Fair enough.
number 4, and I'm going to be interested to see how closely we get on these.
So my number 4 is guy out of Texas in Colton Hood.
Tennessee.
Tennessee. Sorry, I didn't say. Yeah, I said Texas. Jesus Christ! I saw the T and I went Texas. No, that's not Texas. That's Tennessee. Dumb, Chris.
And I agree with you.
I need to write out the actual college sometimes because I just put the what their shorthand is sometimes, and I just put T. I forgot that it could also be Texas. So dumbass. Anyway.
Or maybe make Texas UT?
Maybe. University of Texas, yeah. Either way, Tennessee. Chris. Yeah, Colton Hood. Why did I say Chris?
Because that's your name.
Well, I was gonna say they both start with C too. Colton Hood. Anyways, so things I like about him: he's got good feet. He's good at backpedaling.
Yep.
He's a really good press man. So he's gonna kind of abuse you on the scrimmage line. He's gonna slow you down.
Yep.
Downside, he only has 4.4 speed, but he uses that in a weird way to his advantage. So a good example of this is that he will definitely get speedy wide receivers that'll go past him even after the initial contact. But that 4.4 speed is kind of it's faster than you think it is. Like, he kind of unlocks the second gear when he chases you down from the backside. And because of how big he is, he can easily kind of get his hand up over top you and kind of bat it down from that angle, if that makes sense.
It does, but I have worries about that. We'll talk about that in a minute.
I do. We'll do long term. I do worry about that, obviously. But what he is also good is getting kind of that downhill speed, right? Like, he's actually really good at chasing you down from the being behind, right? Like, if he's in the backfield, right, and they do a short throw, he's really good at reading kind of those situations and catching up to somebody if he needs to. He's a very competitive player, which is kind of nice to see. And I think he's versatile when it comes into the coverage. Like, he can play zone a little bit. He's definitely better, like I said, as like a press man. But he can be a zone coverage guy if you need him to be. I do worry that his competitiveness can also lead to penalties, which we've seen. He can be a little too competitive at times, which can get him into trouble. And his tackling is, well, suspect at times.
Firmly agree.
Yeah.
What I'll say is he does have an NFL pedigree. His uncle played in the NFL, so he kind of already knows what he needs to do to succeed at this next level. I think he sheds blocks better than what you would expect for a corner to get after the run. My biggest problem is he's very inconsistent when tackling the run. He's good at getting after it, not always great at making the stop. And then that ability to chase them down and try to knock the ball down from behind leads him to be a little grabby and handsy with receivers.
Yeah.
And that's going to get flagged at the next level. I think he's a good all-around corner. I don't think he's super great at any one thing. And I think the potential is there for him to be a very solid corner in the NFL.
Right.
Sound about right? At number 3,
sure.
I'm going to be interested to see if you agree. I'm going to talk about my number 3 guy here. And I'm going to tell you, I think out of everybody in this class, this guy is the best zone defender in the class. To me, it's not even close, even though I have him at number 3. He's the best zone defender, and it is, of course, the corner out of Clemson, Avion Terrell. I don't know if
I get it.
If you have him higher,
I get it.
or if you don't have him on your list.
No, he's on my list. I get it. I understand why you put him here.
He's got great hands for knocking out the ball, causes a lot of fumbles. Very, very good at that. Also, he's much better at run defense than you would think a 180-pound cornerback could be.
Right.
The other thing I love about him is he never, ever backs down from anybody and literally wants all the smoke all the time. That motor might get him in a little bit of trouble, though, so you're going to have to temper that just a touch, buddy. Also, like we're going to mention with a lot of corners, he gets very handsy if he gets behind someone. Very handsy. And if he's trailing, especially his tackling, while he's better at run defense than you would think, he still needs a lot of work on how to wrap up and not get beat in a tackle. Those are my things about Avion Terrell, but I think he's the best zone guy in this class. So if you are running a zone scheme, looking for a corner, this is the guy you want.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Who do you have at 3?
So the guy I have at 3 is to be honest with you, a player that I would actually, in most situations, even with the current, who's considered number one, because I'm sure we have the same number one.
I'm sure.
I'm going to be honest with you. Outside of a couple of issues, there's like two main issues that I have with this corner. I think if one of those issues is taken off the board, he would be my number one corner without question, to be honest with you, based upon what I've seen on tape. And we'll get to it. I really like this player, but I mean, once I bring him up, you'll know exactly why he's lower down on my list than he should be. Cornerback out of Tennessee, Jermod McCoy. Dude is probably the most complete corner coming out of college I have seen in a while. Dude is 6'1", runs a 4.4 flat, has a 38 vert, has some of the best ball skills I have seen from a corner. Like, he's good at high pointing the ball. He's got good route recognition. He doesn't get fooled by wide receivers doing their juke moves at the line of scrimmage. He's good at doing press issues to try to throw them off of issues on the on the line of scrimmage. Dude's got the agility to immediately turn around and chase after a wide receiver and has the speed to do it. And he's very aggressive. He's one of those guys that you could tell is like going to be an elite corner easily in the league. Here are my two biggest issues with it, though, and these are the only two issues. First issue, not a big deal. He can figure it out. Can get a little grabby. If he gets beat by a wide receiver, he likes to be a little too handsy than he should be. The biggest concern, and the only reason he's down on my list at all, is that ACL tear that he had.
January 2025.
I'm concerned about that ACL tear. But that's it. If it wasn't for the ACL tear, he might actually be number one on my board.
Cost him his whole last year's season, yeah.
Yeah. Dude has pretty much, in my opinion, no holes in his game. Even his zone defense is good. Obviously, I would say that he's better as, like, a man guy, but, like, he can kind of do it all. And so one of my favorite things that a guy can do out of college, the fact that he can do this out of college is insane. He can disguise his coverage in pre-snap. People don't know what he's doing. And that's really good talent for a corner out of college to have.
Oh, yeah.
There's guys in the NFL that can't do that.
Yes.
So, like, he's easily he should be top 10, but because of that injury, he won't be. But he should.
Yeah. All right. Talk about Avian Terrell at number 2 for you.
Jeez, how did you know?
Yeah, we flipped 2 and 3.
Yeah. I do have Terrell, out of Clemson. Everything you said is correct. I think he is probably the best zone guy. I don't even think his man press is actually that bad. I think he can man press with the best of them even still. I think, honestly, I like him a lot. I just think McCoy would be better if it wasn't for the injury. And it's just kind of, it's rough. It's rough to say. I don't know. I like Terrell a lot. He's got good closing speed. His 4.4 is a little concerning at times. But he's got a quick release. He needs to work a little bit more on some of his tackling because he can kind of let people loose because he sometimes likes to try to shoulder check them. And in the NFL, if you're not wrapping, you're probably going to lose that tackle.
Yep.
But his versatility is probably one of his big strong suits. He is a really good zone guy, but he can easily play a man if you really want him to. His press is decent. It's not the best, but it's pretty decent. He's got a lot of similarities with McCoy in some aspects. I think McCoy is just better at most of them than Terrell is, but Terrell also doesn't have the injury concerns that McCoy does. So there you are.
I have McCoy at 2. By the time he's drafted, I'm not as worried about that ACL because it will have been like 2 years almost.
It's also like durability. Like, is it going to come up again?
Yeah. And now I do think, if I remember right, I think he re-aggravated it before the season, which is why he didn't play this last season.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to take good care of it. But yeah, everything you said is true. I love the fact that he's got these ball hawking instincts that are absolutely elite. His coverage disguise, especially in zone, he disappears onto the field. You don't even know he's there, and then boom, he pops out of the zone to knock the ball away, and you're like, where did he come from?
Yep.
I love how fluid he is. I love his speed. I love everything about this guy. Baits the QB into super bad throws and just picks the ball off without even, like, makes it look natural. He doesn't do run support, but at all. But I think he's a great QB in every other aspect of the game. Love him to death. I think he's easily. I think if he had played last year, I'd have him rated higher than my number one as well.
Yeah.
So that's my drop. Is he dropped from 1 to 2?
Yeah. See, I dropped him down to 3. I think it's probably closer to actually label them as like 2A, 2B for me, to be honest. But
yeah, I totally understand what you're saying. But number 1, you and I probably have the same guy here, or we should.
Yeah, LSU.
LSU, Mansour Delane. Wow, this guy is actually really good.
Yep.
First thing I want to let everybody know. Allowed 0 touchdowns in the 2025 campaign and only 2 catches that went over 20 yards.
20 yards, yep. Some of the reasons he's able to do that, thankfully, is, well, dude ran a 4.38. He's fast.
He's fast.
He's real fast.
Yes.
And he uses that to his advantage, but not even just against the pass game. He uses that to his advantage in the run game.
Yes.
A lot more than you think, than most corners you think would do.
Especially for a guy that's only 190.
Yeah. Yeah. Downside, despite his speed, his arms are not the longest. So when it comes to trying to reach up there and actually get interceptions, he's not really doing that. But when it comes to blocking, yes, he's very good at doing that.
He's also great
He
at
can
breaking
deflect,
up the pass.
He makes it hard. Yeah. He makes things hard, but he's not going to be a guy that's reaching up and really trying to come down with the ball.
No.
He's just making it so you can't come down with the ball.
Exactly. He's very good at making sure that neither of you end up with the football.
And one of the other things that I really like, unlike most of the guys we've talked about on this list, drawed 0 penalties last year. 0. That's something I love to see as a corner in any stage of the game, because corners are the most likely to get handsy and give up, a PI down the field. He did not. He played clean, strong football and did a damn good job.
Yep, 100%. I think he's easily the top corner in the draft this year. It would be McCoy if McCoy didn't have the injury concerns. But I absolutely love just how... I don't view him as a picking ball hawking corner. This guy is what I would call a shutdown corner. You put him on the other team's best receiver, and he just takes them out of the game.
Or at least makes it incredibly difficult for them to be really involved.
Yep, 100%. Alrighty, moving on to safeties. I have 4.
I also have 4, but I only have 3 that I think that are actually...
Yeah, I have... My
rounders.
4th is my keep an eye on guy. So, do you want me to start with that?
Yeah, you can start with that.
All right, so my keep an eye on I view as like a 2nd or 3rd rounder.
Yeah.
What else?
Kind of what mine is.
What I'll say about him is, I think he's really, really good when it comes to his coverage instincts. He reads the quarterback's eyes very, very well, and I am, of course, talking about the corner, or not the corner, the safety out of Texas, Michael Taffy. I think I said that wrong.
It's funny you say that, because a lot of people have been rating him higher up on the draft board. I do not have him going that high. In fact, I have him probably as like a 3rd, maybe even 4th rounder, to be honest.
I think he's 2nd
but
or 3rd.
A lot of people are rating him really high.
He's had a great combine, and if you look at the tape, like he improved his missed tackle rate. He's had meaningful snaps at free safety, and he could be in the box or out of the box. He's done 500 career special teams things. He's really kind of a jack of all trades. Biggest downsides for a safety, he's 190 pounds.
Yeah, that is pretty small for a safety.
And his missed tackle rate in 2024 was 21%. Now, again,
Yeah.
he did improve that to 9.3% last year, but you worry, is that a flash in the pan, or does he really know what he's doing? If you juke him, his recovery speed is pretty crap, and he has had a minor thumb injury. But I think overall he's a lot better than what a lot of people think he is. He's had 7 career interceptions. I like him for some reason, and I think he's going to be better than what is expected out of him.
That's fair.
Okay.
It's funny you bring up some of the things you did, because I think my guy at 4, I think equally can do a lot of those things. And basically, to me, he seems like a very similar player, but just better. So I'm going to talk about the guy out of LSU, AJ Halsey.
Yep.
He's got the same thing. He's really good zone coverage instincts, really good at reading quarterback eyes and being able to kind of figure that stuff out. Difference is, dude is 222 pounds.
Yes.
That is massive.
He's
for
a
safety.
big guy.
He's a big boy.
You could even put him at linebacker, in my opinion.
You really could. And he's not even that slow. I mean, he runs a 4.52, and it is a little slower in comparison to others, but, like, he's not that slow. I mean, Michael ran a 4.50, so, like, 4.52 ain't that much slower at 2.
No.
And at 222 is ridiculous. So, I mean, he's my favorite thing is that he's very patient in his coverage, which is what allows him to kind of get away with interceptions and really kind of, like, point the ball out and be able to reach for it in ways that other guys can't. He's a very effective run defender, which is far more than you'd expect out of a fucking safety. Like, because of his strength, he can just kind of go, no.
Yeah, exactly. So, get out of here.
So there are great things that I like about him. My really big problem is, well, he's a little stiff in the hips, so basically he's not going to be as good if somebody runs by him to flip around and start chasing after him. He's not going to be really good at that. And his other big problem is, well, he likes to lead with his shoulder when tackling, which I don't like, and most people in the NFL don't like. Wrap him up. Take him down. Trying to lead with your shoulder isn't going to always tackle him. And he relies on that too much because he is a bigger, stronger dude. He just assumes he's going to knock him out, basically, and call it a day. That ain't going to work all the time in the NFL. So that can be a problem.
Yep. All right, I'm going to talk about now my number 3 guy. Taller guy. A little bit tall for a safety, but I like him anyway. He is 6
tall.
foot.
We're talking tall 6'4" boy,
6'4".
right?
6'4". The 6'4" safety out of Toledo, Emmanuel McNeil Warren. What I want to say about Emmanuel. He forced 9 career fumbles in Toledo. Loves to attack the football like Peanut. Loves that peanut punch. Absolutely adores it. He covers well in zone. Moves very, very well within his zone. I really like the way that he's able to know where his zone should be and how to cover people within it. He fills the gaps during run defense. He hits running backs with authority. He's got great fluid hips. He moves from his back pedal to his run with ease, flips around very easily. Here's what I will say that I don't like. Do not, under any circumstances, line him up in man coverage, because he will get fucking burned. He ran a 4.52, much like the other guy did. He's a little lighter, but at 6'4", okay. I will say he also sometimes has some happy feet and takes bad angles when he's trying to tackle. The other thing I noticed is that when O-linemen get to him up in the secondary, he really struggles to shed them. It gets stacked up pretty easily.
Yeah.
So, but that's who I have at 3.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much to say outside the fact that I have him at 3 as well. He's at best a late first rounder, probably actually a second rounder. He's got he's got a lot of interesting skill sets for his size, but the big concerns is obviously the speed is fairly average. His vert is below average. Granted, he doesn't need the vert to be as high because he's 6'4", right?
Yeah, exactly.
But like, there's just some things that like. When I see a 6'4", I want more out of some of the other abilities, and he just feels like he's relied on his size to kind of get away with a lot of things in college that I don't think he's going to get away with in the NFL. Like, dude probably should work on his man coverage. And it's not that he can't. I believe he could do man coverage. The problem is, it's not that he doesn't have good, decent burst speed. The problem is he just has heavy feet, if that makes sense. He's just not good at, like, twitchy and turning around real fast and catching up with receivers. They'll just run right by him. He doesn't have the agility, initial agility to kind of keep up with some of those twitchy wide receivers.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know. I like a lot of his abilities. I just wish, and even his physical traits, I just wish that I wish he could. I want to see him develop more of his abilities instead of relying on his physical traits so much.
I understand entirely what you're saying.
Yeah.
At number 2, we're going to talk about maybe the fastest safety in this class, bar none. Dude ran a 4.35, and he weighs somewhere around 205, 201 pounds. He also has a 41-inch vertical.
Yeah.
I have, of course, talking about the safety from Oregon, Dylan Thieneman.
Yep.
This guy has really good coverage instinct. He's fast as crap. I feel like he can play safety, nickelback. You could even put him in the box against the run. He tackles incredibly well and follows through. Does have a problem biting on play action, but you can hopefully coach that. And I think the problem is he's so used to being fast that he doesn't worry about the angles he takes in pursuit. And he's going to need to work on that at the next level. What say you?
I mean, I agree to an extent. He is my second safety as well. I think the best way to put it is that he has a lot of the agility and speed that is necessary to keep up with just about anybody. The downside is his man coverage. The longer the play goes on for, the more likely he's going to show. He's going to lose steps behind somebody who's a faster wide receiver.
Yes.
His route running or his ability to process the route isn't bad, but the more complex the route, like, for example, you know how, like, especially our offense right now coming from a Sean McVay system, right, is a lot of the wide receivers, especially the top two guys, will have those types of plays where they can run different routes based upon what they see as on the defense.
Yep.
This is the type of thing he would get you'd have trouble with.
Yes.
Because if it's a simple route, not a problem. If it's a route where the wide receiver has 3 different options they can take, he might get burned on it. Those are some of the big issues that I have with him. But outside of that, I mean, for the most part, he's a very solid safety.
Yep.
Good tackling. Very competitive. Because the problem is, like you've already pointed out, he bites on play action because he is a guy that wants to get involved in the run game. He doesn't want to let runners get to the secondary. But because of that, well, he bites on the play action a little too much.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
you know, kind of goes both ways on that fact.
And number 1, I think we all know who it has to be. It's going to be a guy whose dad was an NFL running back, whose uncle is Dre Bly and won a Super Bowl with the Rams, and his brother currently plays wide receiver for the Rams. We're talking about Caleb Downs out of Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
Good Lord. That pedigree is impressive. I also love the fact that I think his biggest strength is how fast he processes information that comes at him on the field and how quickly he can change what he's doing based on what he's seeing. I think he's got really great instincts. Legitimately could be a corner, a safety, or a linebacker. You could easily plug him in at nickel corner, and he's not going to miss a step. He's got great fluidity in his back pedal and transition. I also think he hits like a fucking hammer. And he wants you to know it. Now, that can also be a problem because sometimes he has a tendency to sell out for the big hit rather than taking the sure tackle. I think he needs to work on that a little bit.
Well, I think in general, his issue is that he goes for the highlight plays a little too much.
I was just about to say,
big hit or the interceptions.
He also gambles a little too much for interceptions rather than making the safe knock the ball down play.
Yeah, he likes to go for the big highlight plays a lot more often than he really should. But that's because he more often than not can get away with it. But I think in the NFL,
I think that's going to get him.
Have that same ability.
Yeah, I think that's going to get him burned. In college, you can get away with that because his athletic prowess was really good. But in the NFL, where everybody's athletic, you're going to have to cut back on that.
Yeah.
And that's
now his biggest upside, in my opinion, is not just the fact that he's strong, he's got good coverage, but that he is a legitimate leader on a defense, which I think is always like. I always value those kind of intangible leadership skills because it's hard. There are just some guys who are natural leaders.
Yep.
And there are just some guys that aren't. And he's one of those guys that happens to have a good physical tool set. He's got good abilities. He's very coachable, but he's also got that natural leadership.
Yep.
And when you combine all of those together, you have just a real stud.
I think so too, yeah.
Despite some of the issues that he has.
Absolutely. So. I think he's an absolute monster. Easy top 10 pick to me. I don't know if he goes top 5, but he could. He's got all the intangibles that you want. He's got the leadership in the locker room. He's definitely your guy to wear a green dot. I love him. I absolutely love him. I think he's a great player, and I think he's going to make a great professional.
Yeah.
I got nothing else.
That's all my guys.
That's all my guys. Don't have anything else to talk about right now. I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah,
Next week,
went over most things. Yeah.
Next week we will, at some point in time, we will be doing a mock draft. We will let you know how we think the teams should draft. That's not necessarily what they're going to do, especially in the case of some teams because they're stupid. And their management literally snorts lines of cocaine before they make a pick.
Also true.
Or their dementia patients. I'm not sure which.
Also true.
So
like one very specific owner.
Considering where he is in the draft this year, I think it's going to be very hard for him to mess this up.
You would think so, but they did this last year and they fucked it up last year, so, you know.
Yeah, but they were like 16 or 17, weren't they?
I'm pretty sure they still are right around that.
No, they're 11.
Or are they 11 now?
No, 12? They're higher up this year.
Are they? They're definitely not top 10, right?
No, they're not top 10. They're not top 10.
I was gonna say there's no way they're top 10.
I think 11 is the Dolphins, actually. In fact, if I'm right, he has two picks.
Is it Dolphins?
If I'm right, he has 2 picks this year.
Well, that's a good question. Helps if I can pull it up, don't it? Well, why? Okay, hold on. Don't want draft prospects, you stupid thing. I don't know why I did that.
Because it hates you.
Probably. Let me see here. Yeah, Dolphins have 11. Cowboys are at 12 and 20.
12, yeah. He's got the 12th overall pick, so it's going to be really hard for him to jack that up.
No, but he'll fuck up the 20th for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, shit. I didn't realize the Rams have 2 as well.
Yep. The Rams have 2.
That's weird to see from them.
Well, they got, because remember, they gave up their first round pick last year to get another one this year. They got the Falcons.
But I wasn't expecting.
I think it was the
Yeah,
Falcons
I wasn't
pick.
expecting them to be that. It is. I didn't expect them to be that high up though. 13. Jesus.
That's because of the Falcons.
Yeah. No, I get it, but it's just that's hilarious because I just don't know what they're gonna do. Are they gonna trade for? Dude, they could technically use one of those to trade for AJ Brown.
It would not surprise me in the slightest.
The Rams just love to not have first round picks, so I think they're even confused about what to do with these. They're like, wait, we have first round picks? What?
What are we supposed to do with these?
I don't even know what we're supposed to do.
Yeah, there's...
Yeah, because, the first 5, you have Oakland Jets. Not Oakland, sorry, Raiders. They're Las Vegas.
Vegas.
I'm so used to saying Oakland.
I am too.
Jets, Cards, Titans, and Giants. Interesting. I'll have to look up what people are saying that the most needs for those teams are. I'm very curious. Obviously the Raiders ones is the easiest one.
Yeah,
to do.
Quarterback. Everybody knows
no
where they're
question.
going first.
Jets need a lot, so I don't think there's too much you can fuck up there.
There is, because they could totally do something stupid, and I think they could, and I think they will.
Yeah,
but I
Cardinals
don't have them.
kind of need a lot. Tennessee needs kind of a lot. The Giants are actually probably in the best spot.
Yep.
Because they may actually decide to trade down from 5.
Yep.
Because they need, their needs are less offensive based and more potential some defense, but not, crazy.
They could totally
Browns
trade
need a
down.
lot. I don't know what they're going to do. Washington, again, are in a pretty good spot. Top 10 pick, and they don't necessarily need it. But if they want to pair up maybe a wide receiver, they could. Maybe work on their defense some more. They could do that. Saints are in a pretty good position. I don't know. I'm very curious about this.
Yep. I've got some interesting picks already in the can for this. So, I already know.
Jets have a second at 16. I didn't even know that.
Yep.
Interesting. We pick at 18. Jesus, that means we're definitely not getting anything we want.
You never know. I have us getting something we could
I'll
use.
have to see, but yeah, there's a lot. I'll put it this way: we're probably definitely going to be more looking at defense than offense for sure.
Yes.
I don't even think it would be defensive line.
Nope.
It would probably be a linebacker or safety. Probably a safety because if Harrison Smith doesn't come back, you want to have a replacement there.
That's what I have us grabbing.
A lot of people have us grabbing Emmanuel. I know
No.
that's a mock draft for a lot of people.
No,
The guy
I
Toledo or whatever.
think there's another guy that I think I have us grabbing, and I'll let you know now. I have us grabbing Thieneman because I have him dropping there.
I don't know if he'll be there. Like I said, I'd have to see what all the other teams need to know before I do that. Because I've seen a lot of people mocking us to go with the guy from Toledo, which I don't like that pick actually.
No,
at that spot.
If we get to 18 there and there's not something there, I would just as soon trade back.
Trade back. I could see us picking up like a linebacker or maybe another corner potentially. Like if one of the other really good corners like
Terrell.
the guy McCoy. Like if McCoy is somehow still there, yeah, you take fucking McCoy,
yeah.
right? Like, not a question. But like, yeah, I don't get why some people are mocking us to get. Let's see here. I think the reason why is who has that other corner going or that other safety going sooner. Let me see here. They have Caleb going to Cowboys. Interesting.
No, I have Caleb going way before that.
I know, but some people have him going there. I don't know why. Yeah, they keep saying that we're gonna take Emmanuel, and I just don't get it. Like this guy still has he's not even he's the second safety off the board. You would put him over.
Yeah, no, some people are stupid.
Like I don't get it. I don't get it. Like, where do they have the other safety going? Hold on. Let me see if I can find him even. If they even have him going in the first. Do they not even have him going in the first? They have him going to 30 to the Dolphins? What? Dylan is obviously better than Emmanuel in almost every way. Why would we go for Emmanuel over Dylan? I don't get it. That makes no sense, and I've seen that on so many draft boards.
Yeah, it's dumb. People, I don't know what people are thinking. It's not my problem.
Like, I don't know if they're going off of what we've talked about, like what they are reading from our front office or whatever. But legitimately, if we pick Emmanuel over Dylan and Dylan's available, I will be kind of upset.
I will be legit
honest.
pissed.
Like, don't get me wrong, I get it. Tall corner, he's got some physical attributes that are like really good, but or not tall corner, sorry, tall safety. But like, if you think for a second that he's better than Dylan, like I don't know what weed you're smoking, but I need in on it. Like, that just doesn't make sense to me at all.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm not basing on what other drafters are doing. I'm basing
No, I'm not either.
Looking
I
at
would
what
look
the
at
team
like what people are
needs.
saying,
Yeah.
like the team needs.
Looking at what the
roughly
team
are,
needs and everything
and then
else.
picking what I think would be a good fit
Yes.
in that system.
100%.
Yeah, I would be doing the same thing. Like, obviously, if we're going down the draft board and Dylan is still available, yeah, I'm probably gonna put Dylan there over Emmanuel. I don't understand the single reasoning for why you'd pick Emmanuel over Dylan. I just don't understand it.
I don't either.
Now, if Dylan's off the board at that point, maybe I could understand picking Emmanuel, but I feel like he'll still be there in the second round. Don't pick him there.
Yeah.
Don't make sense.
Well, in the second round, I kind of want us to grab a center because I feel like that's where we could get a really good center.
Maybe that potential is definitely on the board, but I'm just saying, like, if you really want to replace a safety, I don't think if you can't get him like one of the top guys in the first round, you just don't do it.
Yeah, no, you don't. And I feel like second round, you're looking at, like, to me, I would take Slaughter or Lou or something like that.
Maybe I could see that.
Both of those guys, I think, would be really good in the second round for us.
Yeah, I can see it.
But we're only doing first round, so we will be back next week with that. And then the week after that, we will watch the draft and record our reactions to the first round. And then eventually... Hopefully. We'll have to see how Chris's job works. I'll be recording no matter what, so if he comes in late, he comes in late.
If I come in at all.
Yeah, we'll have to see how that works out. So, for right now, we believe in you. If you put your mind to it, we know you can get through it. You can do it. We love all of you. No, we don't. That's a lie. We just believe in all of you. We'll be back here next week with our mock draft.
Believe is a strong term.
Let us know what you think of how we broke down these players. Smash that like button. Smash that subscribe. Give us a hand. We'll be back. Till then.